Hello, my name is Emma, and today's video is a review slash impressions video of Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales, which is a new story-based addition to the Witcher franchise. The game is a mix of the storytelling and world of The Witcher, a top-down RPG, and Gwent, which is the minigame card game that originated in The Witcher 3, which is now gone off and spun off into its own game. The game is out on PC at the moment, but it's coming out on PS4 and Xbox next month. And the reason I kind of wanted to make a video on this game is because there is a lot of AAA games coming out at the moment, aka Red Dead. I'm pretty sure everyone's playing Red Dead at the moment, but I didn't want people to miss this game because it is bloody good. Before I jump in, if you've played this game and you want to write down some of your impressions down below, or if you have any questions on the game in general, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to have a chat with you. And if you do enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thing that really stands out in this game, in my opinion, is the entire production value of it. You can really tell it's a CD Projekt Red game. Like, obviously the polish that you see on like The Witcher 3 and on like Cyberpunk, which is coming up soon. You can clearly see that CD Projekt Red takes a lot of pride in this sort of thing, and it really shines through in this game. The art style is this kind of cel-shaded world, very colorful, you know, taking the color, I think, inspiration from games like The Witcher, which is very beautiful and vibrant, but made it into this more cartoony style, I think, to fit this RPG game. And you can see, like, when you're running around the towns and stuff, the sort of attention to detail they've taken when you look at little like houses or streams or caves and things like that. Like, the overall world is just super beautiful how they've designed it, and I really enjoy that aesthetic in games. Like, when there's always games that are trying to be more and more realistic, this takes like a totally different approach. Everything in this game is voice acted, including like the townspeople that you pass when you're in cutscenes and you're obviously chatting to other characters in the game. Everything is completely voice acted. They've done a fantastic job in this. I believe as well it's in other languages, not just English, which is pretty cool as well. There's even a narrator that comes into voice certain parts, and it really plays into, I think, this like storybook vibe, I would say. And when you're in these cutscenes, even the mouths of the characters move and you're making decisions and things like that in there. It's just overall like a really good package that you see that they've put like a lot of polish on. So A+ there from me. It kind of reminds me of like old school RPGs I played as a kid when I thought that they looked like this. Obviously you go back now and they're a pixelated mess, but the game kind of gave me this nostalgia feel from the old school RPGs that I used to play. Now jumping into the actual meat of the game, which is how you actually play it, there's two ways that this game works. There's RPG mode, which is sort of how you traverse through the world and make your way from one part to the other. And then there's the Gwent battle mode, and instead of having like real-time combat, you are playing a game of Gwent. So you're playing soldier cards and equipment cards in order to best your opponent. In the RPG side of things, you're exploring the world. A lot of these parts here are finding things to do, which you can do by exploring. There's a lot of side quests and things around, so you're walking towards them. You might see a puzzle or something happening with townspeople or whatnot that you want to go investigate. And there's also resources hidden throughout the world. There's wood, there's manpower, and there's money, and you want to collect these in order to upgrade your equipment. And the more resources you have, the more equipment you are, the stronger you're going to be, and the better you're going to progress through the game. So for example, you've collected a bunch of coin, and you can jump into a sort of main camp that you have that you can click on at any time to enter, and you want to upgrade your soldiers. So you'd go in and potentially buy some new Gwent cards that you can use in your battles. So that might require some men and some gold or whatnot. You can also use these resources throughout the world. So say you go up to some wood that had fallen on a pass that you want to get through. The game will give you an option to say like, okay, we can hire some axemen to cut it off. That will cost 50 gold, or we can spend some of our men, which we can use to clear the path. So there's a lot of options around resources. You just want to collect as much as you can, but it's about spending it wisely. I feel this is kind of like RPG light, I would say. It's not like the most in-depth thing in the world, but it's a good like secondary thing to sort of have to manage while you're progressing through the game. But again, this like resources and traversal part is a good way to like group the entire game together. So I think it's a lot of fun and a good thing to have decision making in there so you can sort of vary out your gameplay. And then the second part of gameplay is you playing Gwent. So this comes in like conflicts or battles and puzzles. Depending on if you guys are familiar with playing The Witcher 3's Gwent or not, this sort of step forward from The Witcher 3 Gwent to what it is today, it's kind of insane how much production value has increased. Like you have your little leader characters on the side, which are like fully animated, even like the way that you put down cards and stuff like that. It is just a beautiful battlefield, and they've done such a good job to progress it from where it was to where it is now. So the basic gist of Gwent and a lot of these battles is playing cards with a value, which adds to a total, and to win you want to have a higher total than your opponent over 3 rounds. So it's best of 3. This sort of gameplay I think is like easy to learn, very difficult to master. It's super in depth in that you can chain like things together that take 5 turns, where you're playing cards that boost other cards, which then, you know, shoot enemies when this happens. And there's just a lot of depth in it, which made me really enjoy Gwent in the first place. So people in your party in this game, say you're traveling with an advisor, when you go into battles, they will be cards there too. So say you make a story decision where you bring on someone, they can then be in your deck. Conversely, say you made a decision and someone decided to leave your party, or they died or whatnot, then they're out of your deck. So overall, like, it's good to link like the RPG traversal gameplay and like, you know, your story progression with your actual deck of cards that you use to battle opponents. And again, I mentioned spending your resources to get new cards. You can customize your deck however you want, as long as you meet the quotas of the deck of a certain amount of cards and have a certain amount of value in there. But there's a lot of options around like what strategy you want to go for in there. Is your strategy boosting your own units? Is your strategy destroying your opponent's units? Is your strategy trying to play more cards from your deck than your opponent? There's a lot of things in there, and you can decide when you get cards and you're able to craft more which way you want to go about it. And I am a massive strategy fan, so, you know, setting up something for like 5 turns and then having it go off just feels so good. I am playing this game on the hardest difficulty just because I played so much Gwent in the past that I thought, why not? And I haven't had any issues so far in like losing battles or whatnot, so, but I don't know if that's just my experience because I've played a lot of Gwent. And then going on to puzzles, which is by far my favorite part in this game. I love puzzles. I grew up playing games like Professor Layton, so whenever there's puzzles in games, like, hit them at me. So puzzles are like a custom game mode where they give you your situations. One of them is you go into a paddock and there's a crazed cow, and you need to destroy that cow without destroying the other cow, and that cow damages the other cow units every turn, so you have to obviously manage keeping the other cows alive and killing this one rabid cow. And there's usually only like one way or solution of getting this right. They give you like a set number of cards, and you've got to play these cards in the right order, in the right place, in order to complete the challenge. And they are bloody hard. Like, some of them I have to sit there and attempt them like over 15 times to get them right. It just feels so good, like similar to Dark Souls when you defeat a boss. It's the same thing here, where if you complete a challenge, you're like, oh boy, like, it's just a great feeling. And it feels to me like the dev team like spent a lot of time on them to be very creative, balanced, fair, but also really bloody hard. So well done on that, CD Projekt Red. And in terms of the story, I don't want to get too much into it at this stage, but there's a lot of decision making in here that can sort of lead it from one way to the other. I love being in the Witcher universe again. Like, The Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games ever, so jumping in there is great. You're gonna run across familiar characters, familiar places that you've seen from the other Witcher games. So even if you are just a fan of The Witcher and you're just hungry for more lore, like, this is just a fantastic addition to the franchise. And as well, if you are looking into getting into Gwent, the actual multiplayer game, you get to unlock different cards and borders and skins for your game in this game. So that's just a really nice addition to be in there. Overall, this game has got me really intrigued. It's actually a lot better than I expected. Like, this game was in development for a long time. Obviously been waiting for it for ages, so I'm really glad that it's come out like super polished and really fun so far. So my recommendation is, if you're looking for a game to play, like maybe after you've played the AAA games, I don't know, jump into Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales. I couldn't recommend it enough. It's great fun, great art, and it's left me really intrigued. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions on this game or this review, please leave it in the comments below and I'll be sure to chat to you guys. And again, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I will speak to you guys later. Bye.